Hello and welcome back to Lorcana Villain. My name is Baker and today we're taking a look at the top 8 deck lists for the Pax Unplugged event. This took place weekend just gone. I believe it was on the 3rd, on the Sunday, and there were 62 players in this particular event. My information today comes from the official website of the Forbidden Mountain, who the website will be linked down below in sources as usual, but also their YouTube channel. If you're watching this, you probably know who the Forbidden Mountain are. They're some of the OGs in Lorcana content creation, so massive shout out to them just for being great and as a thank you for this information. But yeah, we're going to be taking a look through these, so let's jump straight in. In a similar pattern to the PPG GalaxyCon lists that we looked at the other day, similarly, it is overwhelmingly dominated, this top 8, by Ruby Amethyst, with once again one Steel Amber deck making the top cut, and that one Steel Amber deck going on to win the entire event. So interesting, quite big events in a row, dominated by Ruby Amethyst, one Steel Amber deck, and it still won both times. So we have Dave here, who was piloting Steel Amber Sleepy's Rock Songs. So another one of those sleeper cards, no pun intended, that I think the majority of the fan base, myself included, first glazed over Sleepy's Flute as like, oh, this is kind of like themic. I think most people gave it the same vibes as things like Ursula's Shell Necklace and a couple of the just less powerful cards from set 1, but turns out that Sleepy's Flute be piping some dubs, my guys. So yeah, we got a list here. Let's take a look at the entire thing. We got 4 Cinderella Ballroom Sensation, who will be fantastic, not only into shifting into our stout-hearted Cinderella, who we have a 4 count of, but also for singing those 3-cost songs incredibly easy. 4 copies of the Storm Rage on and 4 copies of Strength for a Raging Fire, really raising those odds of getting that turn to, like, if you go first is always a perfect world, putting down Cinderella, and then a turn 2 Storm Rage on, presuming the opponent puts down a 1-drop, or normally feels quite good, but again, just a high song count in general to aid the Sleepy's Flute. We have the 4/4 count of the New Dog and Rockstar Stitch, lots of targets as well for our adoring fans, the Cinderellas, the Stitches, the Queens, the Simbas, the Baby Cinderellas, so yeah, lots of targets there. As I said, we see 4 Baby Queens here and 4 Floodborn Queen, lovely. 4 Bodyguard Simba, still putting in a lot of work in this meta. 4 more Cinderella, 4 more Baby Cinderella, the Knight in Training, Steel, 2-cost Inkable 2/2, with the Have Courage ability. When you play this character, you may draw a card, then choose and discard a card. So a great turn 2 drop, great for letting us see more of our deck and select the pieces that we would like to see, and another target for our stout-hearted Cinderella. So really nice and consistent there. 4 copies of Spectacular Singer, obviously to find all of our wonderful songs and to sing them cheaply. We've talked about the Queen, the Stitch, and the Cinderella, and then a big old song count to Be Our Guest. Great for, again, all the songs are useful just for not only Cinderella being able to attack ready characters, but for triggering your Sleepy's Flute. Sleepy's Flute, words are hard. And if you can get down 2, 3, 4 Sleepy's Flutes, that's pretty amazing. I mean, like, you compare it to something like the Sorcerer's Spellbook, who is putting in work this format, but it's a cost less to put it down, and you don't have to pay the 1 ink to use the ability, which does make it more diverse. Like, again, it's Spellbook, you can just do it for free. This has the cost of having to play a song, but that's going to happen quite a lot in decks like this. So yeah, if you can get 3 or 4 of these down and then start pumping out songs, and that's some big lore we got going on. So yeah, 2 Be Our Guest, which can also just search for pieces we need. 2 0 to Hero to make some out of nowhere plays, get off big Cinderella Stout-hearted or Floodborn Stitch, even if you're not shifting, just being able to get them down, or just being able to extend more in a turn in general. So love to see it. We talked about Storm Rage on and Strength for a Raging Fire, great for that chip damage, and Strength for a Raging Fire is going to be particularly good in a list like this that is going to create a wide board a lot of the time. 4 copies of A Whole New World to help us refresh, and it's just another song. 4 Grab Your Sword and the Flute, as I said. So yeah, Sleepy's Flute stonks on the uprise. I feel like we'll see this pretty much exact list again a lot. You might see slightly different song counts. You might see people that will lean more into the Be Our Guest and Zero to Heroes, or Zero to Heroes, should I say. You might start seeing, like, that might just be in addition, or people might go to, like, 3 Strength of a Raging Fire, or 3 Storm Rage on to find the count they want, but generally, I think this is a shell that you're going to see a lot. So, yeah, congratulations to Dave on a first place finish. Next, moving on to second place, and as this is Ruby Amethyst, we will then look at all the Ruby Amethyst lists in a row. And also worth stating that this particular list is identical to one of the top 8 lists. I believe their names are Marcus and Steve. So yeah, when I first found this list, it just had this name on it of Juice Mark. But I watched the Forbidden Mountain review of Pax, and from that I was able to learn that their names were Steve and Marcus. But yeah, this deck times 2, so obviously we'll just look at it once. But yes, we see a big old set of 1-drops, 4 Olaf and 4 Rapunzel, 4 Snake, 4 Fox, 4 Goat, 4 Rabbit, all in on those. We do see 4 Arthur here, consistency, so this is a bounce version, and I'm going to start putting Lefou in titles of Ruby Amethyst decks that are running Lefous, because I do think it changes the way the deck runs, and it's important information which is easily given to you just by calling it Lefou Bounce. So yeah, 4 copies of Lefou, 4 copies of the Stylish Surfer Mini as well, 4 Maleficent for some extra draw, 4 Maui, 4 Yzma, 4 Lady Tremaine, 4 Friends on the other side, 4 Be Prepared. So just max consistency, maxed out counts of all the things, not trying to do anything fancy with any 1 or 2 counts of tech things here and there, which I respect. That's not to say that I personally like a few tech counts, but you can see why this list has done well. Just all those 4s. It's very pleasing to see, and you can see why it would be consistent. So yeah, congratulations to both Steve and Marcus on their Ruby Amethyst list, and as one of them came second, one of them made top 8, but nonetheless, congratulations to them both. Next up in top 4, we've got Sinatra. Hey, I love a bit of Sinatra. Fly me to the great Illuminary. Let me play among the lore. Let me see what the matter is like with a touch of Floodborn ink. Sorry if you found that cringe, but it's who I am. So we've got some Spellbook Control right here. 5 1-drops, 1 Olaf, and 4 minis. I do prefer, if you're going to have a split of these, I would always max out on the minis, just because, and I know not a lot of people are doing it, but if you are playing that, if that mini is on the field, there has to be a level of respect for, the opponent could shift into Floodborn mini. I know not a lot of people are playing it, and I'm not necessarily saying you should, but if it does start to crop up, it does just create that question mark, whereas with Olaf there is none, because there is no Floodborn for Olaf. One day, Olaf, we believe in you. But yeah, 5 1-drops. We see 4 counts of Snake, Fox, Maleficent, Goat, and Rabbit. We also see the 2 Pinocchio here, nice and tech, really good answer to aggro, and just in general, just the ability to immediately exert something is very strong. We do see the 4 Teeth and Ambitions later on in the list, which are 1-drops are great targets for that, as is the... most things survive this, except the Pinocchio and the Tremaine, but you can use them to sing Teeth and Ambitions the turn after they go down, and then put the damage on itself. Maybe not Lady Tremaine if you want to shift into the Floodborn, but Pinocchio's a perfect target to put this self Teeth and Ambitions damage on. And just to confirm, if you were wondering, yes, you can put it on one of your characters that only has 1 willpower. They don't have to have 2 or more to fulfill the 2 damage. Like, it's just, it does work. That is okay. So yeah, I like the 2 Pinocchio. I also like the 2 copies of Lady Tremaine. I'm going to start testing them in my own Ruby Amethyst list. I really enjoy, I do like that, and just not only being a shift target, but being something that you can bounce back and keep getting that lore denial effect off. Obviously only if you're you have to have more lore than the opponent for Lady Tremaine's ability to kick, but yeah, still really worthwhile, I think, to just have that open to you, because sometimes, so often in the bounce mirror, it just becomes a bit of a race, and if you can just deny them a couple of lore, then that could make all the difference. We see 3 copies of Stylish Surfer Mini popping up a lot in these decks, so I think more players are going to have to start either running their own, or we looked at a list in the PPG list the other day that was playing Fidget, just because it's the same cost and it responds to Mini and takes her out and survives the hit. I've also spoke a bit about Peter Pan Shadow, who I really like as a response to Evasive, and not just a response to Evasive, but the Tiptoe ability gives your Fox, your Maui, and if you're running the Queen of Hearts, gives them Evasive. So you can, there are some great plays that you can make with Peter Pan Shadow, although we yet to see him in a top 8 list, but I believe in you. 3 copies of Maui in this list, 4 Yzma, 4 Floodborn Lady Tremaine as a big shift target, 3 copies of Maleficent I really like. We talked about Teeth and Ambitions, 4 friends on the other side. We are running the 2 Sorcerer's Spellbook in this list, and 4 Be Prepared. I really like this list. I would like to see a copy of the most diabolical scheme, unironically. But yeah, really like this list. Looks really powerful. So well done, Sinatra. You did it your way. Our next top 4 list, also Ruby Amethyst Bounce Control, is courtesy of Blue Derpy Turtle, goated name. We see 3 copies of Olaf, and so that's a situation where like, I would run the mini just to create that question mark. And I know no one's running the Floodborn mini, but they could at any moment, and then who knows. But yeah, we see 3 Olaf, we see 4 Pascal, so plenty of 1-drops. We're also we see the 4 counts of Snake, Fox, Goat, and Rabbit, and Maleficent. We are running the 4 Pinocchio here. We are a more aggressive version with that 2-cost uninkable 1/1 stat line quest for 3, and just a great target for your bouncers. Plus, we're also running Lefou here, who can re-ready Pinocchio, or Lefou can obviously more preferably re-ready Arthur after he has quested and given us an aggressive lore game. We see once again 3 copies of Stylish Surfer Mini, 4 Maui, 3 Yzma, 3 copies of the Floodborn Lady Tremaine, 4 friends, 4 Be Prepared, and opted for the 2 Shield of Virtue, which I don't hate, to be honest. Like, it's contributing towards, you're an aggro version and you want to keep this Arthur safe as much as you can. I wouldn't mind a few extra 1-drops if you're going to go, because I don't disagree with going all in like this. I think this is like a nice way to play it, and like Shield of Virtue has fallen off in a lot of lists, and this is the first time I'm seeing someone go, no, well, it's still very good. It complements our overall strategy. So I really like all of this list. I like the free Rabbit as well. I think that's enough. I would like to see maybe another 1-drop or 2, but I'm sure Blue Derpy Turtle felt that this was sufficient. But yeah, a great list, and congratulations to them. Next up in top 8 with Ruby Amethyst Villains, we have Kyler. My only requirement for me to call you a villain deck is playing the most diabolical scheme. And no, it's not just because it's biased. I do believe like that's what makes you the villain variant more than anything, in my opinion. Just saying. But yeah, we see the 4-2 mini line. This is perfect as far as I'm concerned. It was perfect. Down to the minute details. I did the thing. We see 4 copies of Madam Mim's Snake, Fox, Maleficent, Goat, and All In on the Rabbit. We see the 2 Baby Lady Tremaine as a shift target and another target for the most diabolical scheme. 3 Stylish Surfer Mini, which is becoming the staple. We've got 4 counts of Maui and Yzma in here. These tend to be sometimes one or the other is a 3 count. We're all in on the Maleficents. 3 Teeth and Ambitions, which I think is a fine count. Yeah, I think that's a fine count for this. 4 friends on the other side. 1 Diabolical Scheme. 2 Sorcerer's Spellbook. 3 Be Prepared. I don't know if I'm ever going to just agree with 3 Be Prepared. For what it's worth. I don't agree with this. like that means something. But you're watching my channel. I'm here to give my opinion, so let me cook. I just don't know if I'm ever going to agree. Ever's a strong word. In this format, I still think we would need more cards. We would need more options for me to feel okay, I think, at the moment with a lower count of Be Prepared. I get it to a degree. Sometimes it's been tempting because sometimes you see it more than you want to. You draw into multiple copies, especially if you don't you want to play more into you don't often want to wipe the board because you want to control the board and keep bouncing things. So I kind of get the thought trail, but I just don't know if I would ever feel comfortable walking into in this format with cards released as they are. Don't know if I'd feel comfortable with a 4 count, but they did really well. The rest of the list looks really, really nice. That is literally the only thing I would change. I would find a space for the 4th Be Prepared. And I'm not a massive fan of the mini, but she is doing really well. You can't ignore the data, so I don't disagree with the include. This is the only major thing I think I would change. But other than that, this is probably the closest to what my most updated Ruby Amethyst list will look like. So yeah, really like this. Congratulations to Kyler. Next up, we gave credit at the beginning to the Forbidden Mountain, and would you Adam and Eve it, Dan from the Forbidden Mountain made the top 8 cut, which we love to see. Huge congratulations to Dan. Once again, go subscribe to the Forbidden Mountain if for whatever reason you are currently not. But yes, Dan went in with Lefou Bounce Control. We see my perfect idea of a split for 1-drops. We see 4 counts of Snake, Fox, Goat and Rabbit. We only see 2 Maleficent, which I don't disagree with. I don't disagree. Let's finish the list and then we'll sum everything up. We do see the 3 copies of Lady Tremaine here, so an extra target for that, for the Floodborn. And again, I said that this ability is just nice, especially in the mirror, to just be able to like make sure that you're hitting that 20 mark first. Only 2 copies of Lefou, so we're not all in, but it's there as an option. Only 3 copies of Arthur. I think that's fine. If you're gonna run one or the other of these at a lower count, you might as well just make it not your whole deck's engine, if that makes sense, and just have it as an option that you can play into. We see once again 3 copies of the Stylish Surfer. We see 4 Maui, only 2 copies of Yzma in this list, 4 Tremaine, 4 Maleficent, 4 Teeth and Ambitions, 4 Friends on the other side, and the 3 Be Prepared. Once again, I just talked about Be Prepared. Again, just my opinion. Or like all the respect in the world to Dan, did really well, and I've watched plenty of their content, and they know what they're talking about. But in my own humble opinion, I just would never feel comfortable with only a 3 count. I'm probably finding, yeah, that's the only big change I think I'm making. I don't mind this at a lower count. I like even the 3 Lady Tremaine. I would probably go 2 Lady Tremaine and go to the 4 Be Prepared. I don't hate the 2 Yzma either. She's really good, but like, I'm only running 3. But yeah, overall really like this list, so massive congratulations to Dan. Like I said, one of the top 8 lists was the Ruby Amethyst list that came second, so we won't look at that one again. But we move into the only other deck that isn't Ruby Amethyst or the Lone Steel Amber. But once again, Ruby coming in hot, this time paired with Sapphire for some good old-fashioned Pawp Control. Let's look straight at the item count. I think is probably the best place to start in these decks, to be honest. So we see the 4 Pawp, 2 Scepter, 2 Shield, and 3 Fishbone Quill. Like, I think this is good. Like my list, I'm running 4 Scepter instead of Shield, but I don't hate this at all. So yeah, looks good. 3 Judy Hops I really like. Just again, there's a lot of Spellbook out there. There's a bit of like there's some Sleepy's Flute out there. Everyone panic. This is the perfect time to panic. And again, just in the mirror, you can slow your opponent down a little bit, getting rid of the Quill at the right time, or even just the basic item at the right time to slow down their Flavish play. Mickey finding his way into this list, which I don't hate. Again, I like the 1 jump ahead, but this does the same job and allows you to get to turn 5 a turn quicker, essentially. So lovely, lovely, lovely. We do see the 4 Belle in here, who's someone that does crop up occasionally. I've made my feelings I've made my feelings well known about Belle. She's not someone that I think you are like, again, with cards that we've got at the moment, again, future sets could change everything, but with card pool as it is, I think Belle is someone that crops up every now and again in a top 8 list. It is a strong card. I don't think it's the most consistent card, but led Toby to a top 8 finish win in this tournament, so put some respect on the Belle. 4 Flavisham, you love to see it, thank you sir. 3 Nick Wild to recycle those Porpsicles, I think 3 is fine. 3 Maui, 2 Lady Tremaine. We do see the 1 copy of Scar, Vicious Cheater here, I'm a big fan of as a tech. It's an extra, more specified Be Prepared. Yes, they need to have their characters already exerted. Yes, you don't necessarily clear it all because you could be banished yourself by the time you've challenged into a second character, but I still really like Scar. We see 3 Hades, 3 Tamatar, I think is the right count. I don't think 4 is necessary. Yes, you may have to wink them at some point, but they don't always come in. Like in my playtesting of Ruby Sapphire, it just doesn't come up all the time enough to warrant the 4th spot. We see 4 Maleficent, 3 Develop Your Brain to search for some key pieces. We've got 3 Teeth and Ambitions for some chip, and a lot of our characters, I think all of our characters survive the chip damage, so lovely. We do see the 1 jump ahead in this list. Sorry, I missed that in my... When I went to Mickey, I did a quick flicker, and I was like, I don't see 1 jump ahead. But it is here, so a way to skip turn 3, essentially, and put down Flavisham on your turn 3. So love to see it. Only 1 copy of Let It Go. There is a lot of other removal in this deck. I think I'd be more inclined to go to like a 3rd, so go down to 3 Maleficent and go up to a 2nd Let It Go. But preference 4 Be Prepared, and then we talked about the items. So yeah, list looks good. It's not my way of playing it, but I know there's a lot of people that believe in Belle, and like, again, I'm not a Belle hater. I just don't think she's the most consistent. But she's strong. She will crop up again, and she did well in this particular tournament. So well done to Toby. And that's it for the top 8 deck lists for the PAX Unplugged event. It is a Ruby Amethyst world, but still Amber still coming out on top as champion. So is that going to lead to a rise in Steel Amber representation? Because it's far less represented in the last 2 tournaments that I've looked at, but still coming out on top. And like I said, them Sleepy's Flute Stonks be rising, so make sure you grab your copies. The deck list will be linked down below as always for you to go try it yourself.
Hey, I thought this would be a good opportunity to continue my tour of the Great Illuminary.
Alright, fine, but first, clear something up for me. If you're treasured lore from the Great Illuminary, that technically makes you a glimmer, right?
But of course, and do I not glimmer?
What I mean is, you're meant to be a copy of something.
Well, I think copy is rather rude. I mean, look at Solid Snake. Would you go around calling him a copy?
Alright, well that's a remarkably specific example, but okay, I do like me some Metal Gear Solid. No, well, don't change the subject. What Disney film are you from? See, I knew it. Nothing but a...
Silence! I'll have you know that my Disney fame goes far deeper than your feeble mind could possibly comprehend. Behold, here I am in award-winning motion picture Beauty and the Beast, starring Angela Lansbury. Oh yes, I remember this night well. This old haggard beggar woman came to the castle. It seemed she wanted shelter for the night in exchange for a single rose. The prince was going to let her in, but I told him, "No, sire, do not be so foolish. You let one old haggard beggar woman in at the cost of a rose, and before you know it, they'll all be at the castle gates bearing flowers and expecting a warm meal. We cannot possibly allow that. Besides, look at her. I mean, what's that stick about? It's got big chunks missing from it. Seems very impractical. No, we can't possibly allow this, your highness." Anyway, that was right before she turned into a beautiful and powerful enchantress, and naturally I assured her that I was all for letting her in, but the prince is spoiled, selfish and unkind, and simply must be taught a lesson. So she turned the servants into Tupperware and him into a monstrous beast. Which was pretty funny. But that was just one of my Disney adventures. Perhaps I will share more of my glory in the future. But until then, subscribe if you're new and hit the like button, because I am extremely likeable. Bye!